This was the night that made every WWE kid in 2009 cry.
This is only goodbye for now.
For now? Well, it was for Jeff Hardy. But for a lot of kids, that was the last time they watched WWE. I have stories I'll tell you later. Just look at everybody in the crowd. Let me take you back to a time when Jeff Hardy was the most popular wrestler on the planet and CM Punk was worse than Devil himself, even before he fully transitioned into his Jesus persona.
You'd be on a morphine drip. Some of you probably already are.
Most will refer to CM Punk's peak being 2011, but I was just reminded how much of a heat magnet this evil man was just a few years earlier.
By the evil.
90% of my friends had Jeff Hardy as their favorite wrestler, all three of them. And this was pretty much Jeff Hardy's peak in professional wrestling. If you weren't following dirt sheets, we weren't. We were kids. We checked WWE.com. I'm not even joking, by the way. You had no idea that Jeff Hardy's battling his personal demons. He was so big in WWE though. Who would have thought this would be his last WWE appearance for nearly a decade? People, pro wrestling is absolutely beautiful. CM Punk was pretty much calling Jeff Hardy a junkie every single week, and we all know CM Punk is straight edge. His addiction
is wrestling.
Yet most people said, yeah, Jeff Hardy is our guy.
Steel cage!
I know you're probably intoxicated right now.
Punk is just the GOAT. I forgot how hilarious CM Punk was in 2009. Oh, what is the matter? You look confused. Is it perhaps because of any substance you're taking? There's nothing like wrestling, and watching these old WWE episodes reminds me how much I appreciate this form of entertainment. Look at that nostalgic SmackDown intro. You also hear JR on commentary, which feels so weird. He's a Raw guy, and we all know a world title rematch is coming, but we still don't know how much it's going to mean. So the show opens with CM Punk. He's introduced as the only straight edge world champion in history, and that theme song. Like, look people, I love Cult of Personality, it's a classic, but for a heel Punk, nothing would fit any better than this fire burn. He also received nuclear heat. I know this show is pre-recorded, but I'm buying it. Maybe they're lying to me. I think it was legitimate. He's smiling, proudly calling himself the first and only straight edge world champion. He mocks the fans for being too intoxicated to remember his SummerSlam TLC win over Jeff Hardy and plays some highlights of the great SummerSlam match. He would roast the fans any chance he would get. Are you perhaps drunk? Punk says the pain makes him feel alive, without painkillers unlike Jeff Hardy and the crowd. I'm not kidding. Any chance he would get. You just took medicine from your headache? You disgust me. He says he's the role model everyone needs. Man was just pissed off that people are drinking, using medication. I don't think it was Punk talking. I think that was literally Phil Brooks. He complains about The Undertaker ruining his moment with a post-match chokeslam and claims WWE's higher-ups fear him. Well, that's gonna become a big story in a couple of years. Punk says one of them don't belong in WWE anymore. It's hilarious how many times he was just talking and people are like, you suck! We hate you, Punk! You're the worst! I drank 5 shots of whiskey before coming to SmackDown! Jeff Hardy arrives to a huge pop, saying Punk's reign ends tonight in their steel cage match. Naturally, Punk is like, are you perhaps taking something?
What did you take?
And CM Punk then ups the stakes. Loser leaves WWE. After thinking it over, Jeff Hardy accepts.
That's risky, that's risky.
You're old! Teddy Long comes out, who was the general manager of SmackDown at the time, who, oh my god, he just... chugging and nutting over tag team matches. Don't you try to mention tag team wrestling or The Undertaker, because Teddy Long might appear in your room right now. And he makes it official. The winner defends the title at Breaking Point in a submission match against The Undertaker. AKA you're going one-on-one with The Undertaker. So the stage is set, people. Who is leaving the WWE? If you were a kid, you weren't following any dirt sheets. You were watching it as almost real, even if you knew it's scripted. You had no idea who's going to win this match. We'll get back to the heartbreaking moment, but I wanted to see what else did we get on this episode of SmackDown.
Did you take some painkillers? Is that your drug of choice?
No, it's nostalgia. And it was a bit of a nostalgic trip. I can slam a tomato. I want that. I won that. So we got John Morrison and Matt Hardy versus the Hart Dynasty. I love the way the ring mat sounds during this match. The matches were really short on this show, by the way, and the Hart Dynasty I feel like were severely underrated. So I'm watching this and I'm shocked John Morrison didn't really get to that next level in the WWE. We got that Starship Pain, and of course Morrison and Matt Hardy took the W. If I remember correctly, Matt Hardy didn't really stay for a very long time in the WWE after Jeff Hardy left. But again, watching Morrison, his entrance, his moveset, his charisma, his looks, it's like, how did he never get to that next level? You know, this was 2009, and up until 2012, that was literally his peak. Melina doesn't appreciate the relationship between Ziggler and Maria. She saw him cheating. She saw Dolph Ziggler rizzing.
Don't you realize how happy Dolph makes me?
Same. I'm sad now. Maria is like, you're just jealous. Dolph comes up. You brought a woman backstage at SummerSlam? Okay, that is a tough question. What do we say? How do we get out of that situation? Think, Dolph, think! Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Fair enough, he can get away with that. Then he says it was his sister, and they kiss. So if we're not talking Spirit Squad, this is as early as you're going to get from Dolph Ziggler. Not that far away from his debut in the WWE. Speaking of which, look at this young man right here. And what is his theme song? I ain't talking Broken Dreams. I have no idea what this theme song is. That's the beauty of watching old WWE shows. You think you know everything, and they always surprise you by some random shit they did for a couple of weeks. So R-Truth comes out, and Drew attacks him before the match even starts. We got a Future Shock DDT, and baby voice Drew says,
Well, my name's Drew McIntyre.
and the party is over. Yeah, that career looks promising. Let me make my prediction, people. I think he's eventually gonna get buried, then start a band, gonna be a very good air guitar player, then become a star almost a decade later. So fun watching these people who are eventually going to become big stars in the WWE. You couldn't tell he's gonna be one of the main characters in the WWE in 2025. He looks like a completely different person. McCool appears at ringside on crutches, claiming it's a knee injury from Melina's attack last week. She's unable to compete, so she introduces her good friend Layla as Melina's opponent. I completely forgot about Layla in the WWE, so this was before Women's Evolution, right? And the match was really short. We know how limited they were by creative. You hear stories all the time from these WWE women from the past claiming, the producer said you went too hard, so why don't you go back in that ring and re-record this shit because you were wrestling like men. You want bad product? So Melina wins the match and attacks Michelle. For whatever it's worth, Lay cool, that was pretty cool. At least it was somewhat serious. Then we got Rey Mysterio versus Kane. So Rey is the Intercontinental Champion. That title, man. I know it's not better than the white strap, but I really love this championship, man. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but it always looked so cool. So not necessarily must-watch TV right here. At this point, Kane had no aura. Like seriously, I know P. Kane is with the mask, not the new mask. You know, like the original Kane, when he removed the mask, he was also pretty entertaining. He was a psycho. But over the years, he became like the Big Show. He was just there. You see Kane on television, you're like, oh, this is about to stink. And not necessarily the quality of the match, just who gives a shit? And the match ends with Rey Mysterio's biggest arch nemesis, the ring post. Something about Rey Mysterio on that ring post. I feel like they want to break his spine. Great Khali comes out. Ooh, what are we thinking? 5-star match incoming? I think my videos in slow motion help. It was a kendo stick battle, and then Ziggler attacks Rey Mysterio. We got a zigzag, and he's coming for that Intercontinental Championship. So eventually Dolph Ziggler will become one of my favorite WWE wrestlers ever. Back then, I couldn't care any less. Who is the spaghetti man? Never picked him in video games. He was new. And for me personally, this is my problem. It takes me a long time to actually care about new WWE wrestlers. We see Jerry Show, love that theme song. Okay, this is the great one as a kid talking, but I always felt like they reminded me of Vegeta and Nappa. Jericho says they're the most powerful team in sports. MVP and Mark Henry have no chance at breaking point. And they proudly remind everyone they're unified tag team champions. Unified! So this entire segment, everything about it was ass, but I absolutely loved Jericho back then. Talking very slowly to all of these hypocrites and parasites. At one point, a little bit later than that, he actually became my favorite WWE wrestler because I started watching his 2008 work, and obviously when he returned in 2012, he was my guy. So we got Jericho versus Shad Gaspard. Seems random now, but this was the tag team division at the time, so everybody just starts fighting. Teddy Long comes out, and guess what he says? Make a guess. Make an educated guess what Teddy Long said.
Tag team match!
Of course. So we got the tag team match, and as you can probably tell, Jerry Show won the match. Pretty cool tag team and a very useful way to use the Big Show at the time. Okay. It's time to get into the good stuff. So Jeff is doing his makeup, and Matt wishes him good luck. Oh, that's so sweet. Two brothers, you know, talking it out. They had some problems, but man, it's about you tonight. It's all good.
You've always been a gambler.
Okay. So Jeff is not getting any rest tonight. Everybody's roasting his ass. People, it was time for Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk. Jeff got a huge ovation and gets attacked by CM Punk before the match starts. This man is pure evil. If you're a kid watching this, you're just rooting for your favorite. You still think that Jeff Hardy can win this match. But I assume if you're already a smart wrestling fan who reads the dirt sheets, you probably knew what to expect. For a kid though, this is just a match. I don't know the backstage stuff, and the match was actually over 20 minutes, so at least Jeff Hardy got a decent last match before his exit. One of the most fascinating things about this match is watching people in the audience reacting, not knowing what to expect. I honestly believe not that many people were actually reading dirt sheets and knew what is happening backstage at the time. So eventually they get to the top of the cage. Keep holding on, Jeff, you got this! And Punk pushes him off and escapes the cage. What a moment. Okay, what followed? Some of the best TV I've seen in a while. CM Punk's evil smile, Jeff's tears, people devastated, and Punk waving goodbye while This Fire Burns is playing. I never realized how much of a heel theme song this is. Just this shot of CM Punk smiling, even through, and you see Jeff Hardy with tears. Oh my god, I love that kind of shit, man. This was just regular TV, but it felt like one of these edited WWE videos they show before the pay-per-view. Then we see Jeff Hardy sitting sad in the ring, which is a pretty iconic image at this point. Thank you, Jeff, chant start. And then he says,
Sorry if I've let anybody down.
you'll see Punk instead of me on SmackDown. And we see a lot of sad faces, man. This is not a goodbye forever. This is only goodbye for now. Jeff, no! Don't do this, Jeff! Come on, man! And then he's like, well, at least Matt's still here. He's cool, I guess. He's not Jeff Hardy. And the man couldn't even say a proper goodbye because he was about to leave and he got attacked by CM Punk again. This man is pure evil. What a moment. One of the saddest WWE TV endings I have ever seen in my life. I think people at the time even thought, well, maybe this is part of the storyline. Maybe Jeff is coming back. I mean, he's at the top of his game right now. This is literally his peak. Why would he leave the company? Why would WWE release him? Of course, we didn't know the backstage stuff. So how did I find out about it? At the time, I wasn't watching SmackDown. I found clips. Maybe I would find something online. But for the most part, I didn't really have access. So my friend, who was also my classmate, got home earlier than me. We were also neighbors. So I'm going back home, not suspecting anything. By the way, his favorite wrestler was Jeff Hardy. And he's screaming from the balcony, check WWE alumni, Jeff Hardy is gone! So I did some research, WWE.com, right? And Jeff Hardy is no longer listed on Raw. He's no longer listed on SmackDown. He's on WWE's alumni page, which we took that shit seriously, people. If you're on WWE alumni, you're gone. Then I told my cousin about it. Your favorite wrestler is gone. And that was it. They stopped watching. That's all it took. Their favorite wrestler is gone. What's the point anymore? That's how kids watched professional wrestling. Luckily, Jeff Hardy was not my favorite wrestler. I was a Randy guy. Look, people, we were 9. For most people, it felt like, well, the show about Superman doesn't have Superman anymore. What is the point of watching? We knew wrestling is scripted, but it was so easier to suspend your disbelief when you don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. We didn't know any about that stuff. No controversies, no inner workings, what is happening, who's writing the script, who's booking this shit, we had no idea. So for a lot of people, it was CM Punk who ruined the WWE. So this is one of my biggest CM Punk and Jeff Hardy's memories. The matches were great, but they are people who made my friends stop watching WWE. wrestling in general. And I tried. I saw Jeff Hardy in TNA and I was like, well, he's still wrestling. You can watch TNA. But they were going through that natural growth where you watch wrestling, you grow out of it, you start watching basketball. It's just us weirdos who stuck around. But you know, going back and watching this moment, I never realized how iconic it looks. People, let me know in the comments below, what is your memory of that moment? Where were you in your life? And was Jeff Hardy your favorite wrestler? How did you feel about Punk? How old were you? Were you even watching wrestling at the time? I was watching since 2004, but I mean in 2009, I was still a kid. So people, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want more content like this. It's the most fun I've ever had. Thank you for watching The Great One. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.